When Diddy announced live on Instagram in 2020 that a young white girl was his adopted child, nobody knew how to react. The girl, maybe 11 or 12, looked at him uneasily when he asked her to repeat her new name.
That he would like to be a caring man, so then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
The surface. It seemed to be one of those heartwarming but surprising events that famous people occasionally add to the timeline. It was a tremendous black tycoon, full of savior energy. There was a discernible difference, even though people would share it with claps and affectionate emojis. They just didn't know what fast was. The meaning of the incident has completely shifted as time has gone on. After making her Instagram debut, Ava virtually vanished and was nowhere to be seen in any of her usual spots. No birthday postings, no family. There were no casual behind-the-scenes films from the combined household on TikTok, but when she did appear, it was strange how she was positioned. Her frequent presence with Diddy's children instead of his girls caught the attention of fans. Her body language was rigid, as though she wasn't sure where to look or how to respond, and it didn't feel like family. Public relations, it seemed. Then, out of the blue, Terrence Howard delivered a shocking court statement that exposed a new angle. He wasn't even meant to be thinking about Ava. His entire speech was centered on Diddy's alleged predatory behavior in Hollywood, but Terrence paused in the middle of a statement and made a strange reference to a situation involving an unexpected individual. The links were suddenly formed by the internet. Nearly immediately following the court hearing, Ava Y. Diddy's indictment expanded. Rumors spread that Ava might be one of the additional potential victims. Following a short, uncomfortable live stream, the missing girl might really be the subject of one of the darkest stories in today's celebrity culture. It began to spiral at this moment. Yes, Terrence Howard's speech was rambling. Diddy once brought him over and said he needed acting lessons, and he went into great detail about it. Terrence claims that first it seemed to be just two actors interacting, but things soon started to go weird. Diddy asked Terrence to join him since he was just staring and didn't have any scripts or rehearsal schedules. Again, spend time with each other and play some music. His assistant eventually warned him, Diddy isn't looking for acting lessons. After that, there was no more communication, and Terrence immediately pulled away. He continued by saying that once you lose your manhood in this line of business, you never get it back, even though that moment was awesome enough on its own.
I gotta pick it up from right there.
It's clear to fans that he wasn't simply talking about himself. When Diddy's former bodyguard Gene Deal stepped up with his own bomb, the hypothesis gained traction. What if Ava was part of this same pattern, RN, turn, N? What if Diddy's so-called adoption wasn't about comp access? SS was present during it all. He observed things that most people don't, and he said that Ava's appearance wasn't a family moment. Rather, it was a premeditated move to soften Diddy's image, while everyone else was cooped up reading through feel-good news. Wes Hughes and oodnews.us on social media, Gene claimed that Diddy selected Ava from The Plague, showcased her on a social trophy, and then removed her off the Imagine the Following. Low up stillness or just silence. After the buzz faded down, doe photos, school pictures, updates, etc. He told him that the new persons behind the suspicions were kind people. There were many who thought that there was evidence of what transpired next. Additionally, it has been stated that federal authorities are currently looking through Diddy's confiscated devices and answers for responses. The story begins there, truly begins to change, as Ava is no longer merely a name passing. She is now the question no basking. Give up asking. Where is ND, on Condi? And what actually transpired after I Live? Ram Live? Was he never heard from again? Never again? No updates, no S-Wife updates, no fat photos, and not even a passing reference to interviews. And for someone who records everything, including birthdays, A's, Gary parties, payocts, birthdays, extravagant parties, and the complete blackout was so loud that they screamed. People are excavating, using pictures, photos, and timelines. That matched, the internet became detectives, reliving that embarrassing live stream as if it were the key to something more. Perhaps it did, as Ava wasn't a name you happened to stumble onto following that revelation. Disclose. No, there were no Reno ODs or records. It seems as though she was introduced to the public and then completely deleted. There are no tagged images from classmates or birthday greetings from pals in the school register listings. This type of disappearance is deliberate and well-planned, as though someone wanted her to vanish without any inquiries or legal action. Fim, to him, Doc, to his son's son Justin, as well as Diddy, is the target of yet another lawsuit, and Christian, commission began to show up in songs on ceilings. In a case concerning Allen trafficking, Justin was mentioned. Christian is currently dealing with a sexual assault lawsuit. These were not previous claims that were being brought up again. The eve passed. Thresh and Andy are new and continuing with unsettling information that have uncanny similarities to the claims. At this point, people began to get really uncomfortable, because Ava, who was infrequently visible, was always spotted hanging with those two daughters, sons, and sons, all of whom are now being connected to extremely bad behavior. It made me think about it. Was Ava adopted for control or protection? D. Former bodyguard Trolladil, also known as Deal, has been spilling secrets like he's been keeping. They claim it wasn't just a matter of appearances, optics. He maintains that Diddy picked up these practices from others in the industry, from those who used their position of power, and that he then did the same. He began doing to others what he was doing to himself. To him. That's how it works, world DT world. You either get used to it or use it. Jean replied, clip P any clip, and true a henny then, Ava wasn't just any youngster he pitied throughout class. She may have been a setup, a pattern, or a pattern. Configuration. Diddy's one comparison that won't go over well is Madonna. She tried to normalize it by saying, I adopted you like you did. During that live video, Ava, the E stated, did. Madonna's adoptions have been criticized for years. Claims of trafficking, G-ing, and court system manipulation that resulted in the removal of children from their homes under such circumstances meant that Diddy's casual statement that he was doing something didn't sound like a C-flex, X-tie flex. Instead, it felt like a confession. The timeline simply doesn't follow the case. Ava appears nowhere. E nowhere. Fits. S ick hits. Diddy's public image needs to be softened after years of negative headlines introduced. D reduced disappears. SAP. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal issues resurface, NG again, and new names begin to appear. E Seacher. According to insiders, some of these victims were minors, and some of the movie footage shows that some of them were trafficked. This is not just conjecture, though. One name is Ava Combinesis Imbinus, a child who may have entered a famous person's home believing she was being saved, but ended up somewhere darker, arker, and more dangerous. Then there is C. Ventura, A. Ventura, DX, Y's X, whose lawsuit broke down any illusions people may have had. The industry is holding its breath because if Ava speaks, witnesses, or testifies, this won't be another case swept under the rug. G. Rug. It will be the one that blows the whole thing open and pen. Investigators are now demanding to know if Ava was a part of the machine, E-machine, the same environment, a different version of the horror. Scent knew something coming G-ing. For years he'd been poking online, E-ing, throwing shade and Andy and making jokes that didn't quite feed jokes. Jokes. People brushed it off with beef. Effie's beef. Just two egos clashing spotlight. Titly now. Now. In the middle of all the chaos. Aos. The teasing has taken a dark turn, burn. He's releasing a documentary, Why, Airy, Did He It? And it's not just it'll. Etul, it warning G-ing. In a clip that's already gone virales. They can't charge him for what we saw, but we can't unsee it. That line hit the internet like a punch because everyone knows 50 doesn't bluff, F. If he's teasing footage, if he's even implying there's something visual, L, something real that ties Diddy to the things people have only whispered about. Out, it means he's been sitting on the truth. He is no longer alone. According to sources close to the federal investigation, Ava Baron Kamami is not long missing. She is not running away. She is silent. and she has reported cooperating. If that is the case, if the girl who once paraded around on live streams like a pet project is now talking, it changes everything because this would no longer be specula. If Ava tells them what actually happened after the cameras turned off, who she was with, what she was asked to do, and what was recorded, it could tie up all the loose ends that have been left hanging. Since the one person who lived there confirmed it, prosecutors now have first-hand knowledge from inside the house who saw what the public wasn't supposed to see. Been circulating for years, and it alludes to the lawsuits, secret charges, and other things that would explain Diddy's recent downward spiral. Quiet payouts, disappearing posts, and abrupt public relations actions that seem more like panic than strategy. The man who once controlled every aspect of fashion and music media is now witnessing his empire fall. This is not just a fall from grace. It's an implosion of Diddy's legacy, his power, and his protection. And if AA's narrative validates the darkest aspects of his world, the rumor is even partially accurate. It appears more and more likely to be real every day, such as those he attempted to quiet include ready to talk at last, and this time,